Malaysia to expand regional cooperation via APEC meeting. Air traffic controllers take second jobs as shutdown continues. Salam Malaysia Madani, I'm Bernard Paul. After a successful ASEAN summit, Malaysia will continue its commitment to regional cooperation at a larger level, the Asia-Pacific. This is highlighted by the participation of Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim in the APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, AELM, in Gyeongju, South Korea. Malaysia's ambassador to the Republic of Korea, Datuk Muhammad Zamruni Khalid, when speaking to reporters via a video call, is optimistic that regional cooperation can drive sustainable development for shared prosperity.
In the importance of regional groupings, so we are a member of several regional groupings, including ASEAN, APEC, and we are trying to get into BRICS. So we always mention this, the importance of this at all multilateral fora, that this is basically our core values that we believe in, and we hope that with regional development we can achieve more.
Now, at the same time, the Prime Minister's working visit to South Korea also carries the mission of strengthening bilateral relations with the Republic, which have already advanced to the level of a strategic partnership. Datuk Muhammad Zamruni explained that the focus will be on the areas of defence, maritime affairs, AI technology and infrastructure.
This is the fourth year in a row that our trade has surpassed $20 billion US. And I would like to mention this because if compared to other countries that have already signed FTA with South Korea, the amount is lower than what we have achieved.
Regarding the mutually agreed free trade agreement between South Korea and Malaysia, he expressed hope that its signing can be carried out by early next year. South Korea was Malaysia's 8th largest trading partner last year, with a trade value reaching $24.01 billion US. The 47th ASEAN Summit came to a close yesterday, marking the end of Malaysia's chairmanship for the year 2025. It showcased regional unity in strengthening political, security and economic cooperation while reaffirming Malaysia's active role in leading the regional agenda towards shared stability and progress. The summit, officiated by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim in his capacity as ASEAN Chair for 2025, was attended by all leaders of the regional bloc as well as international figures. This included US President Donald Trump, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, and United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Analysts view Trump's presence as a manifestation of Washington's commitment to strengthening economic relations with ASEAN amid global trade tensions.
America is one of the largest investors in this region, not just in terms of dollars and cents, but also in terms of the technology that they have. If we are referring to applications, automations, algorithm, America are at the forefront, or even in artificial intelligence. So we'll benefit from that kind of healthy engagement with America. But then on the second part, America is also one of the largest financial market player.
The summit also saw the signing of the declaration on the admission of Timor-Leste as the 11th member of ASEAN, marking a historic expansion of the regional bloc after more than 2 decades. Several high-profile meetings were also held. They emphasized strengthening supply chains, expanding investment and accelerating economic digitalization, and the transition to green energy.
Perjalanan perdagangan ini sebenarnya bertujuan untuk mengurangkan kos perniagaan dan memudahkan sektor PMKS dan juga perniagaan yang lain untuk menembusi pasaran luar.
Overall, the 47th ASEAN Summit demonstrated the strength of regional solidarity and the diplomatic clout of Malaysia as host.
Guna mentol jimat tenaga untuk lebih jimat.
And moving on, Israel carried out airstrikes targeting several parts of Gaza despite an ongoing ceasefire, killing at least 30 people. Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu ordered powerful strikes on Gaza as Defense Minister Israel Katz accused Hamas of attacking Israeli troops in Gaza. Katz, however, did not reveal where the troops were attacked. Israeli media reported an exchange of fire between Israeli forces and Hamas fighters in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. However, Hamas said its fighters had no connection to the shooting incident and denied responsibility for the attack. The Palestinian group also affirmed its commitment to the ceasefire agreement. Gaza Civil Defense Agency said at least 3 strikes were carried out, while the territory's main Al-Shifa hospital said one hit the backyard of the facility. The agency reported that 5 people were killed when their vehicle was hit by an airstrike. Hamas earlier announced it would hand over the remains of another hostage on Tuesday, as demanded by Israel under the ceasefire deal. The group later said it would delay the handover, citing Israel's violations of the ceasefire. It said any Israeli escalation will hinder the search, excavation, and recovery of the bodies. North Korea fired what appeared to be multiple short-range ballistic missiles on Wednesday, South Korea's military said, ahead of a key Asia-Pacific leaders' meeting in South Korea. It was the first launch of ballistic missiles since May by Pyongyang, which has defied an international ban backed by the US and South Korea on such weapons development. Top military official Park Jong-chon oversaw the test and said important successes were being achieved in developing the North's nuclear forces as a war deterrent. Notably absent from the test was leader Kim Jong-un, who frequently oversees important missile launches. He was also not mentioned in news reports regarding last week's test launch of several hypersonic missiles. Trump has said he would love to meet Kim this week as he makes his first visit to the Korean peninsula of his second term. The two leaders last met in 2019 at the demilitarized zone. North Korea has yet to respond publicly to the invitation. A man accused of fatally shooting former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe admitted to murder in the first hearing of the case, 3 years after the assassination of Japan's longest-serving premier stunned the nation. Tetsuya Yamagami was arrested at the scene of the shooting in July 2022 after allegedly firing at Abe with a homemade gun while the former premier was giving a speech during an election campaign in the western city of Nara. Yamagami blamed Abe for promoting the Unification Church, a religious group against which he held a grudge after his mother donated some 100 million yen to the institution. Founded in South Korea in 1954, the Unification Church is famous for its mass weddings and counts Japanese followers as a key source of income. A lawyer for Yamagami asked for any punishment to be reduced, saying the handmade gun he used did not fall within the category of handguns, defined by Japan's Firearms and Swords Control Act. After the first court session, up to 17 more hearings are set by year-end, before a verdict is handed down on 21st January. Over in Europe, NATO has voiced firm support for Lithuania over what its capital Vilnius condemned as a hybrid attack on its airspace by Russia's ally Belarus, involving balloons filled with contraband cigarettes. The alliance's Secretary General Mark Rutte said he had spoken with Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda about the incident in which dozens of balloons forced a temporary closure of 2 airports last week. He said NATO stands firmly with Lithuania, including through-the-air policing currently provided by Spain and Hungary, as well as the NATO forces led by Germany. Lithuania, a NATO and European Union member, also shut its last two border crossings with neighboring Belarus over the incident. EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen also called the balloon incident a hybrid threat and said the European Union supports Lithuania.
And this is one more very good argument for the readiness roadmap and the flagships in it, the Eastern Flank Watch and the drone initiative, the drone defense initiative we're taking together. Because independent what it is, we will not tolerate any incursion in our airspace or our territory, and therefore building up this readiness roadmap is of vital interest.
Prime Minister Inga Ruginiene said the Lithuanian army has now been authorized to shoot down such balloons. Germany's Federal Criminal Police and Interpol have joined the investigation into the jewel heist at the Louvre. Both agencies released a photo of the stolen items and asked for public assistance in recovering the treasures. Interpol has added the Parisian jewels to its database of stolen art, which contains around 57,000 objects. The robbery on 19 October, which saw 8 crown jewels taken by thieves disguised as construction workers, has caused outrage and drawn sharp criticism of security at the world-famous museum. Laurent Lafont, head of the French Senate's Culture Commission, called for urgent improvements.
Il y a de nombreuses améliorations à faire. On est sur une organisation de la sécurité qui n'est pas conforme à ce qu'on peut attendre d'un musée aujourd'hui, et il est indispensable de réaliser enfin les travaux nécessaires, que ce soit sur le réseau ou que ce soit sur le matériel de vidéosécurité.
Last Saturday, French police arrested 2 suspects previously known for theft, identified through DNA evidence. According to the Le Parisien newspaper, both invoked their right to remain silent during questioning. 2 other suspected accomplices remain at large, and the stolen jewels have not been recovered. Coming up, NVIDIA to build AI supercomputers for U.S. Energy Department. Stay with us. Before that, hundreds of U.S. air traffic controllers have taken second jobs after missing their first full paychecks due to the government shutdown, intensifying strain on an already stretched aviation safety system, according to a union official. Air traffic controllers and trainees are taking side hustles like waiting tables, delivering food, driving for Uber, and signing up as weekend tutors to make ends meet as the shutdown enters its 28th day. Controllers have missed their first full paycheck on Tuesday. Roughly 13,000 air traffic controllers and 50,000 Transportation Security Administration officers must work without pay after budget impasse between Republican President Donald Trump and congressional Democrats triggered the shutdown.
Yeah, so we're out here to educate the public and talk about the impact that the shutdown has on our members, on air traffic controllers and aviation safety professionals, that we continue to come to work each and every day. We're a proud bunch, we're a professional bunch, and we're all showing up to work every day for no pay. So we're asking the public support to help us end the shutdown.
Controllers who only received a partial paycheck 2 weeks ago have increasingly called in sick in recent weeks. That has led to thousands of flight delays per day and hundreds of cancellations that have frustrated the public and intensified scrutiny of the shutdown's impact, raising pressure on lawmakers to resolve the situation. Even before the shutdown, the Federal Aviation Administration was about 3,500 air traffic controllers short of targeted staffing levels, with many already working mandatory overtime and 6-day weeks. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said the artificial intelligence chip leader will build 7 new supercomputers for the U.S. Department of Energy. He also said the company has $500 billion in bookings for its AI chips. The supercomputers NVIDIA is building for the energy department will in part help the US maintain and develop its nuclear weapons arsenal. The supercomputers will also be used to research alternative energy sources such as nuclear fusion. The largest of the supercomputers will be built with Oracle and contain 100,000 of NVIDIA's Blackwell chips. Huang also announced new products and deals including network technology that will let NVIDIA AI chips work with quantum computers.
So today we're announcing the NVQ Link. NVQ Link. And it's made possible by two things. Of course, this interconnect that does quantum computer control and calibration, quantum error correction, as well as connects two computers, the QPU and our GPU supercomputers, to do hybrid simulations. It is also completely scalable. It doesn't just do error correction for today's number of few qubits. It does error correction for tomorrow, where we're going to essentially scale up these quantum computers from the hundreds of qubits we have today to tens of thousands of qubits, hundreds of thousands of qubits in the future.
Bersihkan penapis penghawa dingin dan tetapkan 24 darjah Celsius untuk lebih jimat.
US forces killed at least 14 people in strikes that destroyed 4 alleged drug smuggling boats in the eastern Pacific Ocean. This brings the death toll from Washington's controversial anti-narcotics campaign to at least 57. In 3 strikes carried out Monday in international waters, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said 14 people were killed and 1 survived, making it the deadliest day of the US campaign so far. He claimed that the 4 vessels were known by US intelligence apparatus, transiting along known narco-trafficking routes and carrying narcotics. He said US Southern Command immediately started searching for the sole survivor of the strikes, and Mexican authorities accepted the case and assumed responsibility for coordinating the rescue. He did not specify what happened to the survivor or if the person was found. The US began carrying out the strikes in early September and has now destroyed at least 14 vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific. But Washington has yet to make public any evidence that its targets were smuggling narcotics or posed a threat to the US. Bodies piled up in poor neighborhoods of Rio de Janeiro as police launched their biggest ever raids on the city's drug traffickers, leaving at least 64 dead in war-like scenes. As many as 2,500 heavily armed officers, backed by armored vehicles, helicopters and drones, took part in the operation, targeting Brazil's main drug trafficking gang and 2 poor neighborhoods, or favelas, in northern Rio. Gunfire rang out in the area near Rio's international airport, and smoke billowed from several fires several hours after the raid started. Residents scrambled for cover, and shops closed their doors, amid police claims that the gangs were using drones to fight back. State Governor Claudio Castro described the operation in the Complexo da Peña and Complexo do Alemão favelas as the largest in the state's history. He added police seized at least 42 rifles along with a large quantity of drugs. The central government said the raids aimed to stop a gang called Comando Vermelho from expanding. Raids in the favelas are common, but this was the deadliest one yet. Until now, the highest death toll came in a raid in 2021 that left 28 people dead. On a related note, the United Nations Human Rights Office said it was horrified by the police raids in Rio de Janeiro, calling for swift investigations. The United Nations Rights Office said on social media that the deadly operation furthers the trend of extreme lethal consequences of police operations in Brazil's marginalized communities. The agency reminded authorities of their obligations under international human rights law and urged prompt and effective investigation. In other news, Hurricane Melissa ripped up trees and knocked out power after making landfall in Jamaica as one of the most powerful hurricanes on record, inundating the island nation with rains that threaten flash floods and landslides. The destructive storm struck Jamaica with ferocious sustained winds clocking 300 kilometers per hour on its deadly march across the Caribbean. The U.S. National Hurricane Center said this is an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation, urging residents to stay sheltered and as far from windows as possible. Even as wind speeds dipped to 241 kilometers per hour, Melissa drenched communities and wreaked damage that may take days to assess as communication links remain largely down. Surges in seawater combined with rainfall could trigger massive flood and landslides on the island with a population of 2.8 million. Even before Melissa slammed into Jamaica, 7 deaths had been blamed on the deteriorating conditions. The hurricane was the worst to ever strike Jamaica and hit land with maximum wind speeds even more potent than most of recent history's most brutal storms. Melissa has weakened slightly to a still powerful Category 4 hurricane and is set to hit Cuba and then the Bahamas. Heavy rain and gusty winds lashed India's southern coast as cyclone Montha started to make landfall, disrupting flights and triggering water logging in low-lying areas. Cyclones, the equivalent of hurricanes in the North Atlantic or typhoons in the northwestern Pacific, are a regular menace in the northern Indian Ocean. India's National Weather Bureau said Montha would cross the coast of the southeastern state of Andhra Pradesh as a severe cyclonic storm with a maximum sustained wind speed of 90 to 100 kilometers per hour. Nara Lokesh, a minister in the state government, said some 4 million people may be affected. Authorities have set up mobile hospitals and some 2,000 relief camps. Schools in numerous districts were ordered shut and fishing activities suspended. The Hindu newspaper, citing preliminary state government assessments, reported there had been widespread crop loss and economic distress in certain paddy growing regions. While better forecasting and more effective evacuation plans have reduced death tolls, scientists have warned that storms are becoming more powerful as the world gets warmer with climate change. A small plane traveling from Kenya's coast crashed, killing 11 people on board, most of them foreigners. The plane was en route to Kichwa Tembo, an airstrip located in the Masai Mara National Park, from the tourist hotspot of Diani, when it came down at around 5:30 a.m. local time. Mombasa Air Safari Chairman John Cleave confirmed the accident and said there were 10 passengers, 8 Hungarians, 2 Germans and a Kenyan captain. The airline had activated its emergency response team and is cooperating with local authorities.
As for the details of those who are in the plane, I think also it will be appropriate once all the information that is of the persons who are in the plane has been adequately collated and confirmed.
The Kenya Civil Aviation Authority said government agencies were already on site to establish the cause of the accident. Photographs and videos shared by local media showed the charred remains of the aircraft in the middle of dense forest and scrub. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban expressed his sincere condolences to the families of those involved in the crash. In a statement, he added that his government was in touch with the Kenyan authorities over the tragedy. Al Nassr knocked out of Kings Cup. Stay with us. Cristiano Ronaldo could not find the net while Karim Benzema stepped up with a crucial goal as Al Ittihad knocked out Al Nassr out of the Kings Cup on Wednesday with a 2-1 win. It was another painful night in Ronaldo's hunt for his first major official trophy in Saudi Arabia. Al Nassr entered the clash as favourites, especially with a numerical advantage for most of the second half, but failed to capitalise. In a dramatic round of 16 match, Benzema opened the scoring for Al Ittihad away to Ronaldo's Al Nassr 15 minutes in, with the finishing touch on a slick counter-attack. The hosts drew level at the half-hour mark through Brazilian youngster Angelo Gabriel before Algeria international Hussein Awar restored Al Ittihad's lead in the first half stoppage time. The reigning Saudi Pro League champions were then reduced to 10 men 4 minutes after the restart when Ahmad Al Julaidan was shown a straight red for a high kick, but Al Nassr were unable to make the extra player count. Al Nassr have not lifted a Kings Cup since 1990, even after bringing in several global superstars in recent years. In another match, Al Hilal faced a tough challenge against Al Ukhdud but emerged victorious with a slim 1-0 scoreline. Simone Inzaghi's squad is now eyeing their 10th title, having last defeated Al Nassr in the 2024 final. Al Hilal are through to the Kings Cup quarter-final after beating Al Ukhdud in Najran. This win keeps them on track for another championship triumph. The record 9-time champions who last lifted the trophy in 2024 needed a penalty from Brazilian forward Marcos Leonardo deep into first half at a time to progress. They joined Al Kulut, Al Ahli, Al Qadsiya, Al Khalij, Al Fateh and Al Shabab as teams already qualified for the last 8. Al Hilal will host Al Shabab on Friday in the 7th round of the Saudi Pro League. Al Hilal had earlier defeated Al Ittihad 2-0 in the 6th round. Paris Saint-Germain posted record revenue in the 2024-25 season of 837 million euros. The Champions League winners announced in their financial results on Tuesday. PSG, third in the Deloitte Football Money League in January, beat their previous revenue high of 806 million euros. The Liga A club generated 367 million euros of commercial revenues and 175 million euros from matchday income, with the Parc des Princes sold out for 170 consecutive matches. However, the club are exploring ways of increasing matchday income, including a possible move away from their historic 48,000 capacity stadium. The 2024-25 season was one for the history books as PSG won their first Champions League title, plus the Liga A crown, French Cup, Trophée des Champions, before losing in the Club World Cup final. Qatar Sports Investments took over the club in 2011. Revenue from the Club World Cup up to the quarterfinals was included in the season's financial report, while the latter stages will be reflected in next year's results. Despite record revenue, PSG registered an annual loss, although the club did not disclose the deficit. Last season, PSG reported a loss of approximately 60 million euros. That's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, Malaysia to expand regional cooperation via APEC meeting. Malaysia Tonight comes on at 8:30 this evening on TV1 and MyTV's Berita RTM News channel. Malaysia Madani, Rakyat, Disantuni. I'm Paul. Thanks for watching and take care.